a gentleman called Russell Watson, who is, in every sense, a creative force in this country, and who, some years ago, did an in-depth, thorough analysis of the complexities of Bajan political debate in a piece called Partly Faithful, which I hope to show you now before we begin.
Blah, 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 blah. 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 Blah, 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 blah. Blah. Blah 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 blah. Blah 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 blah. Blah 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 blah. Blah 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 blah. Blah 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 blah. Blah. Blah 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 blah. Blah 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 blah. Blah 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 blah. Blah 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 blah. Blah 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 blah. Blah 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 blah.
Thank you very much, Russell Watson, who happens to be present. Can you give him a round of applause, please? After being involved in that piece, but not only after that, I think I became more and more concerned about the situation we were in terms of the quality of political debate in Barbados and our ability to contribute in a real way to what's going on in Barbados. And I asked myself, well, who are we that are concerned about civic engagement? And aren't we really politicians who don't want to be involved in the politics? Aren't we ministers who don't want to argue in a courtyard and have to draw a firearm on another one? Aren't we people who really care and who really want to do something, but we don't want to do it the way it's being done? And we're concerned about the way it's being done. Aren't we leaders? Aren't we supposed to be doing more than calling brass tacks? Or have we given up on that because only 4 people get through? And they discuss the same issues over and over again? Aren't we leaders who are more concerned about arguing on Facebook about what Mia said or what Kelman said or what Frandel didn't say? Aren't we those people? So take me for example. I'm a good man. I take out the garbage. I even have a composter in which I put the vegetable cuttings and things. Like when you cut an onion, I don't put the onion skins inside the garbage. I just put them in the composter. So I feel like a good fella because of that. I don't send boring WhatsApp chain mails telling you that if you don't send back one to me, you ain't no good, or you will get locked up, or God ain't gonna love you, or some other exciting consequence. I don't do that, so I feel like good too. I don't curse immigration officers who cause me to spend 6 extra hours on a boat from Dominica to Barbados when the ride is already 16 hours. I didn't curse them because they said they wouldn't come to work. That is Customs, Immigration, or the Ministry of Health. Causing the Coast Guard, who were excellent, to say we have to increase this cruise, which is 16 hours, to 22. I didn't curse them. If I'm honest, and my wife knows the truth, I cursed somebody else. But I didn't curse them, so I feel like a fairly good fella. I don't bore any line when I get any pine, when I'm in a hurry. So surely these things put me in a position that I must be special, I must be good, I must be doing something useful. I just give $20 to the parole man when he washed my car. Especially if he wants to use a little armor all on the wheels. So I'm making some sort of contribution. I'm a good fella. I mean, what more you want from me? In a world where Donald Trump and Rocket Man might blow up the world tomorrow, where you want us to get world peace? What more do you expect from me? In a world where 17-year-olds robbing grandmothers at ATMs? What more am I to do when police beating boys on TV virtually, because WhatsApp is TV now, when they're beating them for all of us to see, kicking them in their very heads for all of us to see, and the commissioner of police makes a statement that he has to find out first if they are in fact police. What more do you expect from me? What more do we expect of ourselves? We have our homes to run. We have our children to feed. We have important things to do. I got to feed my dog. In fact, I got 2 dogs. I got to feed both of my dogs. I got 4 fitted sheets. All this while a case in court, I was in court today for a case that has been there for 18 years. I had to write it down twice because I myself didn't want to believe it. A case that has been in court for 18 years in which a young lady, who at the time was a little girl, was shot in her face by a police officer who shot her by mistake. You say you shouldn't talk about these things when they're sub judice, but we here. 18 years. But I voted for a government, or perhaps I should say I voted in a government, because essentially we voted in that government. Not just me, I ain't taking any blame. All of you voted in a government that we thought would cure these things for us. Make us feel that our children are safe. Make our health care accessible. Free if not cheap. Make my education free. Employ people like my cousin to carry a piece of paper from one side of the NIS to the nether side, to take a 2-hour lunch after coming in late because he girl Remy was coming out. So they had to pass by somebody and to get some glue to put back in the Remy. So he was late that day. He took a 2-hour lunch and then left at 4:29. Why the government don't just fix it? Why the government don't just fix it, huh? Why the church don't get involved? Why they don't become more relevant? Why they don't squeeze something more out of us? Why they don't produce something for you and me? Why Granny don't stay home and babysit Shaniqua? So Janae could go out. It's only one night a week. Because there it was Thursday night, she had to go to queue. So that can work. So let me just be clear. I am not saying, and I return to the vernacular because I see my mother looking very concerned about this abuse of dialect all night, this overuse of dialect. I am not saying, I got right now here, I ain't saying, but you can't sit down up, but you don't say what you just say, right? So you understand what I'm saying? I'm not saying that your leaders are not accountable to you. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that when 22 people get shot on Kadooment Day, you should wait 3 weeks to hear a meaningful response from your leaders. That's not what I'm saying. I am not saying that if people in the house are found to be thieving, they should have to come out the house. That's not what I'm saying. I might be saying that too, but that's not what I'm saying. I am saying that they have their job to do. The leaders have their job to do. What I actually have written here is that we won too. Which for my mother's benefit is, we have our responsibilities as well. Surely. This is a country of approximately 300,000 people. Some people say 280 with 20,000 illegal Guineas. I'm not in that. I'm leaving that alone. But 300,000 people. We have enough roads. I just come from Dominica, so I know we got enough roads. Because in Dominica, if you block 4 roads, you in tights. Real tights. But we got endless roads. We got endless hard lines. We used to use the expression, they having phone. Almost everybody in Barbados having phone. Almost everybody in Barbados got 2 cell phones. My mother, who cannot use 1 cell phone, has 2 cell phones. You can reach anyone in Barbados anytime you want, anywhere you want. In fact, effing people can't reach you for 5 minutes. When they reach you, they usually greet you with something like, man, I've been trying to reach you for ages, man. So we are in this little peeny country where everybody can reach everybody. Everybody can communicate with everybody like this. So the question then becomes, what can I do? Me, what can I do? Not the government, not the church, not the AG, not my sister, daughter, Armenta. Yes, I got that right down. And as I think of our plight, I was reminded of a poem called The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. At one point, for those of you who do not recall it, having studied it at length, whether here at Queen's College or elsewhere, some fellas upon a boat, and the boat was being led by a bird. A bird leading a boat. And a man on the boat shoot the bird. Shoot the bird that was leading him. So at first fellas get cruel with him and say, well, why you shoot the bird, idiot? Etc. But then they decided it was just a bird and probably the bird wasn't really leading them. So you was a good fella, don't worry about the fact that you shoot the bird. Unfortunately, shooting the bird was in fact a bad thing. And evil spirits descended on the boat. And the boat was, as the expression goes, becalmed. Was a moving away. And Samuel Taylor Coleridge described that predicament in this way. Day after day, day after day, we stuck, nor breath, nor motion, as idle as a painted ship upon a painted ocean. Water, water everywhere, and all the boards did shrink. Water, water everywhere, and not a drop to drink. So, all of that, all I said so far, all of that is just to say, surely there's something we can do. Surely there are things that we can do. However small. And I write down enough of them. But I feel everybody knows most of them. And I imagine that most of you will agree that the first one is to be an example of some kind. You yourself. And to remind yourself that when you do ignorance, people watching you do ignorance. And when you do good things, people watching you do good things. And that if you clean up your yard, and you decide that you should clean up your neighbor's yard when you're doing that, or you clean a piece of road, and you clean a little further piece of road, people watching that. And people think, well, this is a good thing. This is a good example. And I will follow that example. But I think that is the first one. I think that's the most important one. So that it doesn't sound like civic expansion, but I think it's a big deal. That by your very example, you do something that is special, and it's something that others recognize some merit in. And that when you fall below, none of you are superheroes, when you fall below, you pick yourself up and you try to do it again and you strive. In other words, it's not good enough to not set an example by your very actions on a daily basis. But that one don't sound as real as some of the others, so let me talk with some of the others a little bit. You could organize a march. If a march sounds too radical, you could print some t-shirts and organize a hike, or a walk, or a 5K, and give it a theme and a meaning. And you could ask people to put in $2 more for the Dominicans, or the Barbudans. But that's one. So we could do that. You could organize a neighborhood watch. I'm not saying you might be able to stop a gun-toting hooligan, but you might be able to achieve something by that in a small community. You could organize a beach cleanup, a village cleanup. These things don't sound like a lot, but sometimes it is just a tiny choice between doing absolutely nothing and doing something. Ask my wife. You think that if I don't fold that fitted sheet, it will fold itself? Someone else will do it, or it will be undone. And sometimes, especially in modern societies which call on us to work long hours and then go home and take home our work and serve the man, whoever he may be, we forget that we have to make time to build and rebuild and reconstruct and adjust to the vagaries of daily life. We move on. Petitions. Some people feel they're not necessarily that useful anymore in light of what will come, what I will come to later. But even petitions, even getting people to actually physically sign and say, this is unacceptable to me. I reject this code of conduct as unacceptable. I say that is not good enough. I will not allow it. to be done without me crying out at least. I can at least squeal when you ignore what I think is right. For a long time in Barbados, we have said that we are the most disciplined in the region. That we are the most, I don't want to use the term docile, but I fear that that is the term. That we are the least likely to rebel, the least likely to respond angrily. But one can be angry and still respond usefully, surely. One can, that's another one. One can then go into something called business activism. This is great because you might actually make some coppers while getting people to do good things. So that companies, I imagine, like SBRC, that our government pays millions of dollars, must feel good about the fact that those millions of dollars are at least not like selling cars for 150 grand or something, or selling cloth that worth 5 cents for $50. It is helping us to save ourselves from pollution. It's helping us to recycle. It's helping us to live in a green way. And this is an area that, in my view, is extremely important, in that there are causes and there are things that need to be changed in Barbados that can be addressed by entrepreneurs. There are opportunities for us as entrepreneurs or as potential entrepreneurs to look for businesses that will actually profit us and profit our country. So obviously that's extremely important. I say also here, sit-ins and stand-ins. The stand-in that I had pictured for myself was chaining myself to the court steps, to the gates at the court. But because of my mother, I have been unable to do this so far. Every time I was ever thrown out of a court, I would phone my parents before I raised my voice or misbehaved in any way and ask for their consent. So I just want you to know that anything that people describe as bad behavior by me had the stamp of my parents. So by the same token, I am not yet moved to the point where I'm going to chain myself to the doors of the court. But that day is soon coming. It is not far off. Because what is not happening there is completely unacceptable. I could talk about half a whole night, but let us move on. It would be remiss of me not to say that with the advent of social media, or rather the popularization of social media, that we have so many opportunities to push a cause, to work an angle. They're jumping out at you. You could do them every minute. Audience. In other words, don't try to reach me on Instagram, because I don't have an Instagram account. I promise that after this talk, I would have one. I would put one in place for a challenge, which in my view is another vital method that one can use. A challenge. But I want to say a little bit more about that a little bit later, so I'm going to leave that. Know your audience. Focus on achievable goals. Get publicity any way you can. You see the man there for the nation, the boss man for the nation there, Mr. Shaw, call he and tell me what you're doing. Call everybody you know in the press. Make them know. You see the Beijing report around the place? Call him, if you happen to see it. Call him, tell him what you're doing. Let people know. Don't hide and do it like a martyr. The time for that has passed. Get celebrities and politicians like peas on board, if you can find them. From whatever side, get them to come out and talk and support it. It does make a difference. They say that in business there's a particular technique for some of this, and it has an acronym of SMART. Make sure that your goals are specific, S, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. Some people call that look for your low-hanging fruit and move. I can work with either way of describing it. Now, I split the types of civic engagement that I had in mind into two basic categories. One is seeking accountability from your government and your politicians, your political leaders. Now, accountability, in my view, is the single most important word in this country now. Because if you do something bad and nobody does anything about it, and you don't feel you have to account to anyone for it, we have real problems. And the leadership in Barbados, on both sides, and I don't want you all to feel that I am a BRD. The leadership on both sides is not accountable to anyone. It may be that because we are under a D regime now, we will feel it more profoundly now that they ain't listening to me. But it is not just the Prime Minister, it is not the Attorney General, it is not the Minister of PQRS. It is the PS. It is the church leader. It is the probation officer, for example. I'm not trying to call out any particular probation officer who may be here. It is the headmaster or the deputy head, not necessarily the two are winner. As they say, present company accepted. People have to feel that if we give them a job to do, they must do it. And do it properly, and that when they don't do it properly, as my father would not say, be Christ. He would not say that. But if he would say, be Christ. Somebody can feel something up in here. So that's one aspect of activism, calling on your government to account. Calling on your leaders to account. The other aspect is just doing your own thing. Doing what you think will help. Not waiting to say, well, we hope that the government can cut the bush from the corner here so that when you stop at the junction, you'll be able to see. You can imagine this bush here going, this is 2 years now, this bush all over the road, and the government ain't move it yet. Government gonna be workers. Government gonna Collins. What's wrong with government? This is the other aspect. This is doing your own thing. Helping yourself. Making hay. But we are in a period in which, if the government don't do it, it ain't getting did. So those are the two categories. In category one, for me, getting the court to work. I mean, there's so many things in these categories. I'm just going to list a few of my personal concerns. I would have called them pet peeves, but I don't like the expression pet peeves. So some of my concerns. Getting courts to work. The registry is part of the court, getting that there to work. So I don't know if any of y'all tried to incorporate a company recently, or to deal with the succession of an estate recently, or anything along those lines. But if you have, my apologies go out to you, and I'm sorry for your suffering and your pain and your loss. Getting the police to serve and protect. That's a low-hanging fruit for me, so don't let me start from that. Making business easy and convenient for all. Understanding that when a person has to pay anything in government, when government should want your money, that if they spend 3 hours to pay it, that is 3 unproductive hours for them and the body who behind them in the line. Finding work for young men who leave school with nothing. Now this straddles both, because I think we can help with this and the government can help with this. But if we consider that there are, I'm not good at statistics, but enough schools in Barbados, and that in at least 8 of them, and I'm saying that to be conservative, 99.9% of the graduates leave school with nothing. Nothing. What do we expect them to do if they leave school with nothing and are qualified to do nothing? I made this comment somewhere recently and someone said, Andrew Pilgrim is criticizing the teachers. What? What? That ain't got nothing to do with teachers. That has to do with the curriculum. That has to do with understanding people's ability. That has to do with channeling and preparing and doing something more than trying to get a square peg to fit in a round hole. Or it has to do with all kinds of things, but it ain't got nothing to do with teachers. So if anybody listening, please tell the teachers that ain't what it means. Well, sweep on that topic, let me digress again. I made some comments about the army. I said I did not think it was appropriate for the army to clean up the blocks. One of the comments was, Andrew Pilgrim just wants crime to rise so he would get more work. That was typed by an intelligent, educated Barbadian. Well. Anyway, the point is, that is civic engagement. So we have to accept that you won't always have everybody on the same page. I might get vexed at some little things here and there, but I try not to get too vexed. But finding work and good social recreation for our young men in particular, I'm not saying that women are absolved, but finding work and useful social interaction for our young men is key. I just want to say briefly, I feel like my time getting short, but I want to say that 99.9% of the young men that I engage in the work that I do and have done for 25 years in this country have nothing. By that I mean they have no qualifications of any kind. But more than that, because that concerns me, but more than that, they play for no team. I mean football, table tennis, road tennis, hockey, tiddlywinks, draft. Nothing. They are engaged with no team. They are not practicing any sport. They are not going to drum class. They are not going to learn how to use a camera. They are not learning to dance. Well, I mean, fellas might say the soft if to go and learn to dance, but there must be things that young people, young men can do that are good and that we can encourage them to do. So again, I think that this straddles both areas. And there is, of course, the one, well, it comes out of that, but getting people to understand that violence is not necessarily the way to go. This obviously is a special pet peeve for me. But I'm going to come back to that in a minute. Because I just want to say that yesterday, what we did, we were at court, and as you might imagine, court was adjourned. Yes, I said adjourned. So we decided we would go and play with the camera a bit, just to give you an idea of some of the things we felt you could do, for example. So just take a look at what we did. We're just using a phone and resellers.
Up in the hills, where the rivers run cool. Money and Jana swimming down in the pool.
Yes, I done good. Enough respect, man. Glad to see one of right now, right? I just forward here to reason with the brethren name and the sister name to tell one to eat a plant-based diet. You understand what I'm saying? I say you can't eat no meat, right? I know you're gonna walk the pork and here on Christmas and thing, right? But eat more plants. You understand what I deal with? Eat more plants is the best thing. And if you get a chance to watch a film name, What the Health. Look for that one. But meanwhile, just let me show a scene here now, right? Watch it. See this here? You see this here? There's a plant. Eat these here. Eat more of these here. If you got home some of these, eat some of these here too. Just eat these. Do it here. Whoop box, you don't know. Next time, you're going back in your yard.
Up in the hill, where the rivers run cool.
All of this was done in the space of about an hour, I think. We just left court after we did the first ones in the court cafeteria. I came home, found Raspilly, who happened to be around. My mother saw Raspilly, my father saw Raspilly, asked, what is going on? Why is Raspilly back? What are you doing? And we went in the yard and we just do it. I'm not saying that it will go viral. But I'm saying that it's so easy to package a message with the technology that we have available to us now. And just get it out there quick and do something that people can respond to and argue with and quarrel about and say, well, he's wrong for saying that. To enliven the debate. Obviously, these are light things. But not so light, because one of them is a fairly serious thing. We asked about the fellow in Parliament, for example. And in my view, the plant thing is a very, very serious thing. I say it is very serious because, and this is me getting back now a little bit to my pet peeves. Our healthcare bill in Barbados is massive. There can be no doubt that if we eat better and exercise more, the non-communicable diseases, which are 85%, I believe, of our budget for health, will be significantly reduced. Just by eating better and exercising. We live in one of the countries in the world in which you can exercise every single day of your life. And almost all of we got ground around the house. Although we just try to concrete as much of it as possible and put as much spray as possible on it, all of us have the opportunity. We're aware of the project that Mr. Bino had going many years ago, that the YWCA was engaged in some years ago, of square foot gardening. So that even if you don't got an acre, you can grow almost the equivalent of an acre in 20 square feet. So that is, to me, a very, very serious issue. Which brings me, as you will be happy to hear, near to my conclusion. I am envisaging a Barbados which is not only healthy and happy and long living, but safe. So it's very hard to get the safe in if we allow the crime situation to go the way it is going. My contribution to that debate is perhaps not as obvious as one might think. It is this. Everyone is saying, where are all the guns coming from? But I got in my belief that if a man goes stop home and plan to kill you, he and several others, if he ain't got 45 and he got a Collins, you can still get killed. So I believe we have a gun problem, don't get me wrong, but I believe we have a larger aggression problem. I believe that we are an aggressive people in this region, and it's just Bajans. So if you were feeling that how we consider about the Bajans and people in Jamaica more crueler and Guyanese does chop enough, and whatever people they say, but people can find some negative spin on it. This is a region which statistics acknowledge that outside of places where there is a war, our rates of violent crime are either the highest or second highest in the world for this region. So I'm not saying that the guns are not a problem. They are a problem. But the problem is that we are an aggressive people. Whether we have become so, whether we were always so, whether it is post-emancipation syndrome, whether it is deeply embedded in our past, I can't tell. I went into a bicycle shop last week, and a man came into the bicycle shop using expletives that neither me or my father would use. Saying, cheese on bread, golem. If that fella, if I could catch him now, I would kill him. And he was going on. So I like civic engagement. So I asked the boss, what the man do? He mash up my bicycle bell. I lend him my bicycle yet, golem. And he mash up my... I would have broke off my... If I could have... Yeah. I said, big man, how much for the bell? $4.99. My chrono. And there was a time when that type of talk, and then I used to say, he just blowing hard. But my profession has taught me that these fellas don't be just blowing hard. So that when people say, in my presence, "My will chop your gun, sit down for you, yeah?" I say, I am moving from here presently. I prefer to be counsel than to be the witness. We are aggressive in ways that we do not need to be, and in situations we do not need to be. So that my little immediate intervention for that is to teach in schools conflict resolution from now to every primary school student and every secondary school student. How to deal with conflict. People say, well, when you can teach them that during PE? I said, no, because PE is really important. I don't know if there's a guidance counselor's session every week. I'm not sure exactly how it works. But whoever it is, find an hour a week for every student from the age of 4 to the age of 18 to say that when a fella mash up your bicycle bell, you don't have to chop him. I can't help feeling like that is an immediate intervention which is more useful than the one that I'm hearing mooted in the house, or is to be mooted in the house, where every person charged with a firearm will automatically be remanded for 9 months. And that's just stupid. That's just stupid and backward. So if any parliamentarians hear this, that is stupid. That is retrograde. That is guilty until proven innocent. That is dark ages. That is medieval. I don't know who could be thinking like that, but I hope that that is reported. Colonial, all of that there too. And that people say that, at least I say that my civic engagement on that point is that makes no sense. And then you'll have to bend rules even more to make sure that an officer of a senior rank can get bail within hours. But let's not go there, we don't have the time. Because we just want justice to be the same for everybody. I ain't saying he should get bail. In my view, he should. I just saying I want the same bite at that cherry for Joe. It can't be Joe, it will gotta be Rakim. from Chapman Lane. That's all I want. I digress. Keep digressing? My wife watching the clock. Well, all right. She won't go to road tennis down there by the thing tonight. She watching the clock. This challenges thing, I like the challenges thing real bad. So let me take out some challenges. Health thing is a big thing. So tonight, Mr. Shaw is going to challenge the Minister of Health to exercise every day for the next 30 days and put it on Instagram that he has exercised. And Mr. Shaw is also going to exercise. And we are going to follow them and see what happens. Thank you, Mr. Shaw, for your contribution. We are grateful to you for this. If, however, Mr. Shaw does not do it, my learned colleagues from the office who know what an Instagram account is will put me on Instagram and I will make the challenge to you. And I will invite any member of the government or the opposition to join the challenge as well. All right. Another challenge here now. We eat enough food in this country. I even sing about macaroni pie and get ahead. That means we like food real bad. Because the song wasn't all that. A big amount of the food we does eat is produced by fast food vendors. I'm not here to say don't eat Civic. I'm not here to say don't eat Kentucky. When people invite me to speak on their podium, I feel them as be saying, yeah, it's going to be good. But as be saying to yourself, I wonder what going to drop out of Pilgrim. So, we, the people of Barbados, hereby challenge Civic and Kentucky to produce 2 healthy meals each. That's our challenge for them. If they exist already, I apologize because I don't go in at them. But my understanding is that they don't abound. I know they got a salad bar and they got a barbecue barn, as my friend would call it, barbecue. But I talking about for the people that going in there every day and eating lunch and not going to the barbecue barn. For the people that going to the drive-thru, which to me as a general rule, just take it from me, anything that somebody hand you through a window, you should eat. Anytime anybody hand you anything through a window, don't eat them. Use that as a guideline and you will do well in life. Unless it is your grandmother. And if it is your grandmother, that probably means that it does not contain any ingredients with more than 9 letters. Right? In other words, it got in yam. How much letters are it? It got in fish. That's good. 4. It got in headers, dashing, breadfruit. Breadfruit getting kind of close. We don't call breadfruit nothing else like that. Yellow meat? No, that's enough. Who? Jingle? Bread? Fruit. Right, so we get that in. So anytime you're eating anything that the ingredients going more than 9 letters, you should be pushing back. To realize at that point, begin to push back. You understand? So we are leaving here this evening with 2 challenges. One to Kentucky and Civic, and one to the Minister of Health, through the good offices of Mr. Shaw. That's a start. We do a little thing here this evening. There's so much more that I could say and I would like to say, but I don't think it's appropriate to go on, and I think that my section on my hobby horses, I feel like I want to know how I feel about many things already, so I'm not going to belabor the point. But I would like very much to be able to thank some people that contributed to this exercise. I'd first like to thank my parents, Grace and Charlie Pilgrim, who agreed to let me use vernacular, and who, in large measure, are completely responsible for the man I am today. So that if you are of the view that someone should be punished, you know where to direct your punishment. I'd like to thank my wife, who is a constant source of support and inspiration to me. And I want to thank her especially with this speech, because it is the only speech I have made since I've been married to her that she did not know the entire content. Which I am sure made her extremely nervous. I would like to thank the videographers and costume wardrobe consultants involved in this production, the video production that you saw, which is Miss Kamisha Benjamin, Council, and Miss Rashida Edwards. They are a constant inspiration to me, not only in terms of how I spend my time when I adjourn, but they are also excellent young lawyers who I think feel the same way I feel. So in that vein, I would like to thank all the members of my chambers who are here supporting me this evening. Even some who ain't in chambers yet here supporting me. I would like to thank Mr. Russell Watson, who, and he's just a creative force. He's a creative force. He does think outside the snap box. He ain't easy. He ain't easy. And I know that this is Queen's College, but I would like to thank the College Lions who are here to support me this evening. They ain't easy either. Last but not least, I would like to thank the alumni of Queen's College for inviting me here on an evening in which they honored such richly deserving honorees. I am proud to be associated in any way with you all and with those honorees. So I am extremely grateful for that and for this opportunity. I had said to my wife some time ago when she said that we don't spend enough quality time, that one of the things I was going to do is not accede to requests to do things like this. But then I amended that to say, unless I can see how it clearly impacts on the society and particularly on young people in this country. I want to just mention very quickly, because I is a fella could talk long, as one of may have realized by now. I see people from chambers rolling their eyes. Of another little initiative that we undertook at my office, which was inspired by Dominica, no less a place. Not Dominica because of their suffering now, but because of an initiative I witnessed there. We decided at my office that we would close every Friday at 3 o'clock and go on hike. Usually on the East Coast, but a different location every Friday. And once you're willing to hike, you could leave early. So the lazy ones would stay in the office and do work. Let them remain nameless. But once you're willing to exercise, you can leave early. That 1 day a week. And our view is that it improved the relationship of people within the office, and it improved our productivity, and it even made some of us slimmer and more handsome. I thank you. I thank you very much. Good evening.